This is the Mooncast. Can you tell me a little bit why you started Mint Layer? Like, what was the whole process with like Mint Layer? Like, why did you start it anyways?
Okay, long story. So, project like Tether
Hmm.
moved off of Bitcoin, right? So, was part of the team back then, and uh, basically, um, building on Bitcoin was difficult, and especially compared to Ethereum, right? So
Yeah.
there's lack of functionalities, which is fine because Bitcoin is a network. Is a the Because the technology is made for money, right? So the whole idea is to create money, not as a smart contract or complicated smart contract or stuff.
Hmm.
And there's no intention for to trade off any of that. So the idea is to create this solid platform to exchange itself, like Bitcoin itself, nothing else.
Yeah.
Now we have ORD and all the stuff, which is another topic. But the initially Tether was built on Omni, which is like a, uh, kind of layer two, but it was using Bitcoin itself to track transaction of different tokens,
Hmm.
and it was complicated. We created the Ethereum version, and it was just a smart contract. It's it's an ERC-20, so it's very easy to add to other wallets. And also, one of the good point of having something on Ethereum is that you can benefit from the whole ecosystem because there are other
Hmm.
tools they can use your token and so on.
Yeah.
So, but we want to maintain but the idea was, let's try to take back that, right? Let's try to take the concept of having more tokens to Bitcoin, but in a way that is not polluting Bitcoin. So we don't want to. There are other projects, similar project that wants to achieve the same, but
Hmm.
they are using Bitcoin as a main settlement layer, right? So the idea is, I'm using Bitcoin. I'm using Bitcoin um, to mint, create tokens. Maybe I can use Lightning Network, right, to transport those tokens. But then at some point you have to settle, and you still have to use the Bitcoin network. So what we created with Mint Layer is like an extension that allows user to mint tokens on a separate, highway, right?
Hmm.
So it's its own space. You can generate new tokens here, and then you can like the core component is the main idea is to the atomic swap, and the idea that I can exchange my Bitcoin anytime with any token that is issued on Mint Layer. So basically, this is the lack of um, there were no technology like this before, so we are here. This is the reason why we created that.
Yeah. No, makes sense. And you mentioned about the atomic swap. So, is the Mint Layer team developing that, or is it like a separate team that's developing that?
At the moment, the current version that we will deploy, the mainnet that we will deploy in January, does not include the atomic swap. Um, uh, but this will be the next upgrade of the
Hmm.
network. Um, and it's relatively easy. It's not too complicated on the blockchain side. So I think it will take a few months, but we obviously will we will release it. We communicate the roadmap for that as
Yeah.
soon as we are ready with the mainnet. Um, the on the blockchain level, it's basically an output type, right? So on Mint Layer, we will add a specific output type that is related to this smart contract. On the but it's more complicated than that. If you want to create a DEX
Hmm.
like Mojito, being able to swap your Bitcoin to another to let's say to with Mint Layer, like a Mint Layer token, then you have to create a whole DEX system. This is more complicated. It will take some time to build.
Hmm.
And obviously we will add that on Mojito. But any other wallet, Bitcoin wallet, can potentially add that as well. So
Yeah.
it's a distributed, absolutely, you know,
So those are the next
open
two.
open software. So
Yeah.
everything is open source. So it's also easy to copy and paste to another browser, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, so those would be the next two features. So basically the atomic swap, and then after then you guys are going to try to get the DEX going so that then you can swap for more tokens, add liquidity, and then go on from there, right?
the difference between a DEX like Uniswap, for example, and the one based on atomic swap is that the DEX that is based on atomic swap needs to settle transaction between two peers. It's not, there are no pools, right? So it's a
Yeah.
little more complicated on the logical layer. And yeah, that's what we will focus next.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And you mentioned also BRC-20 tokens a little bit, and
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about what's your take on BRC-20 and that ecosystem.
Okay. It's 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 a hot topic at the moment. It's very and there are a lot of different point of view, right? So
Hmm.
and there is also a lot to discuss because it's it comes into a situation that is complicated. Let me try to explain. Bitcoin is is a system that works and works fine. You have the miner working, right? So they
Hmm.
have an incentive, economical incentive to mine because they want to make money, right? So
Yes.
they keep, maintaining and creating ASICs that are very expensive and stuff.
Hmm.
What is paying for all that? At the moment, the main income for miners is the block reward. Block reward is the one that halves every 4 years. So every 4 years you have this incentive that halves. So we will have one in a few months of these events, right?
Yeah.
And so that means that the incentive for miners to keep this hardware running half every 4 years. At some point, it goes to zero, right?
Yeah.
And very soon, it will be very close to zero, right? So we need to find another way to pay for the miners, even if even if it's not an issue if the difficulty, if the whole network hash goes down. It's not an issue because the network adapt, right? So the difficulty. Tell me if I'm saying something if it's too complicated. But
No,
let's
no.
say that the system adapts to the number of miners running.
Yeah.
But if the what happens is if it goes down too much, right, and you have an actor that wants to attack Bitcoin, the actor can always take buy on the market this hardware and try to attack, because if the miner will start selling or cashing out or whatever the hardware they have, then obviously the price for the hardware goes down and the attack will be more easy, right? Easier. Now the energy is another thing, but anyway, you have the if it's a state or something, it might happen. So we need to replace this this block reward with something else, which is the fees, right? So because there are two components. One is the block reward. The other one is the fees that are collected. Now, fees on Bitcoin are not so high. Since when we basically doubled the size of every block, we never got a lot congested too much the network, right? So fees are pretty low, like a few dollars, and the number of transactions that you can put in a block is limited. So at the end of the day, if the fees are low and the number of transaction is limited, you don't have a lot of money coming from that, right?
Yeah.
So one of the hope was that you could have one of the hope was, let's create like something like the Lightning Network, right? So that basically the Lightning Network allows people to create a lot of transaction and use Bitcoin and trade. Like I can easily buy a coffee today using Lightning Network, right?
Yeah.
Because the transaction, the cost of the transaction is not proportional to the size of the transaction, but is proportional to the amount. So it's a fraction of the amount. So even if it's a $1, it's still I don't know, less than 1%. So it's a negligible fee, right?
Yes.
Or if I had to broadcast this transaction on chain, it will. It doesn't make sense to pay $5 for the transaction if the coffee is $1, right? So
yeah.
So Lightning Network is fine and can batch. Basically, you can see it like a way to batch a lot of transaction into one or a few, right? But so that also means that I can distribute the cost of all these transactions that I'm making into a single transaction I'm willing to spend more, right? So it's okay to spend, I don't know, $50 to open a channel and then use it for buying a lot of stuff, right? So
yeah.
But it's not happening at the moment. Like transaction on the Light Network are not so many still. It's fine. They're
I
not.
think isn't part of the issue, isn't it? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but so you need to open up your own Lightning node, right? Or you can use someone else's node, right? Because there needs to be a payment network needs to be opened up so that then you can transact. And then once you finish transacting all the amount that you want to transact, you close up the channel, and then the settlement, it goes back down to the settlement layer, right? To finish off the transaction.
The full non-custodial way of using Lightning Network, you basically need to run your own node with your own channel and stuff. There are mobile versions that mimic that, and there are trade-off between the usability and the how much of this is custodial, like how much is controlled by someone else and how much is on your own phone. But again, it's not. It's kind of, and again, you're not taking full. It's that there are issues with channels, balancing the channels, and maintain. It's basically if you are operating a node on a Lightning Network where you understand that, it's always, you have to be present. You have to understand what channels are open, what channels are closed, balance them, and so on. It's like, it's not something that you leave there and you forget, and after, I don't know, a month or so, you can expect it to run. It doesn't work like that. So you need to be using
Active.
that actively, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the case. And so what happened, going back to the argument, right? We have to find a way. I mean, we don't have to find a way, but ideally, we should have to have very high transaction fees on Bitcoin. And but if we want to replace the block reward, right? And ordinals are one way to do that. Now, in a weird way, because they are, is right that they are abusing kind of a hack, right? Let's say that are using an unpredicted behavior. Like they found a way to put this stuff, these pictures inside the second part, the extension part of the block that was created back then when I said that we doubled the size. In reality, it's 4 times the size that was at the beginning, right? It was 1 megabyte, now it's 4. And because we moved the witness, segregated witness as a technology that allows you to create a transaction, or Bitcoin transaction, and moving the witness, which is the part that is more is the largest part of the transaction, the signature, basically, right? Moving into a separate space, right? So you can contain a lot of transaction without a witness in the main 1 megabyte block, because Bitcoin is still 1 megabyte per block, right? And move this signature out in a separate space that you can stream separately. Now everything is together, if you, unless, but let's skip that part. But basically, the second part is larger, is 3 megabytes, but doesn't have to be. It's never, there's no way to fill that unless you compose a specific transaction that a specific block with a goal of filling up the second part, right? But they found a way to abuse that, and so basically they are paying for only for the side, for the size of the transaction that goes into the 1 megabyte for the picture that are on the other side. I don't know if that that way
so they were able to find a way to separate the two, and so they could create a little bit more space to be able to streamline the processes for the BRC-20 tokens.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a kind of for example, if you had to do that on Mint Layer, right? It's fine. You can find 1 million ways to embed something on a blockchain, right? There's no way to stop that. But it's a fee. The fee mechanism is made specifically to abuse that. Like, okay, you're paying for that. Technically, you're paying someone for that. So let's say that you want to, I don't know, dump your whole backup into a blockchain, right? It's going to be extremely, you can do it even today, but it's going to be like very expensive. It's better if you buy a computer or a hard disk and use that, right? Why you have to do it with a blockchain, right? But the difference between doing that on Mint Layer and doing that on Bitcoin is we don't have the separation. We don't have this separation of 1 megabyte for the transaction and 3 megabyte for the witness. So you are paying for everything you're putting on Mint Layer, like 100%, depending on the size of what you're putting there.
Yeah, no, that's a huge
And the same is for Ethereum, right? If you put the inscription on Ethereum, you're paying for everything you put. But on Ethereum, it's different because there's the gas that and the compute power. You're paying for the compute power more than the size of the transaction. So.
Yeah. Would you consider Mint Layer to be a scalable solution for Bitcoin side chains, as there begins to be more increase in demand, and transactional volume starts to pick up once the mainnet launches and everything?
It's never enough. That's the goal, but the blockchain is not enough. We need another layer, and that's what we are working on. So basically, like Lightning Network, for example, is scalable. It works perfectly. It's more complicated, and you have to know what you're doing at the moment. Like routing is complicated, and balancing channels is complicated. So there's a lot of work to do to make it, usable. But it's scalable because it's the only way to move forward if we want to have millions of users.
Yeah.
Because you cannot, just to give you an idea, right? Let's say that every transaction is propagated to everyone, right? That means that if someone, you are in New York right now, right? You are going to pay for a coffee in New York now. You're propagating your transaction to the whole world. So someone here, I'm in San Marino, will receive your transaction and needs to verify it. Why? What is the point? Like on Lightning Network on the other side, there's no need for that because you're paying, and the only nodes or people that are involved in the payment is you, the receiver, and eventually someone in the middle that route the transaction to that is a common friend, let's say, a common node, and you're routing the transaction to. That's it. And it will never be known outside of the circle. And you can trust each other because there are these HTLC smart contracts on the Bitcoin network that regulate the balance between you and your friend, and your friend and the ice cream shop, right? So everyone is safe, and the transaction doesn't need to be broadcasted. So Lightning Network is actually a scalable solution.
Yeah. Can you?
But the blockchain is not.
Yeah. No, it makes absolute sense. So when you say, because I just want you to a little bit break down, when you say a third layer, what do you mean specifically? Like, you mean like actually building another dApp application on top that has its own separate validation set, or what do you mean actually specifically?
So we created this is for Mint Layer at the moment. This is just the first step for us. We created this blockchain space where you can issue and where you can issue new token, exchange new token, and trade and do whatever you want. But it will not be enough because, again, Mint Layer itself is 1 megabyte every 2 minutes. So you have 5 megabytes. At some point, it will be congested as well, and fees will, skyrocket as well. It's not different from the other. The difference is that you can batch a lot of transaction. There are a lot of things that you could do. You can technically do on Mint Layer. They cannot in a account-based system, for example. But still, it's not the final solution.
So
but it's a settlement layer. It will be a settlement layer, right? So it will be the ground where all this token will find their place. But we need something over that for very fast and cheap transactions.
No, it makes sense. I was just going to ask you real quick, when you say batch transactions, because can you a little bit break down the UTXO model and how it works? Because I'm familiar with Cardano and that extended UTXO model with how you're able to literally send an NFT plus like multiple different tokens all into one transaction. And can you just a little bit break it down a little bit just for the audience so they can understand the difference between the account-based model and the UTXO model?
Hey bro, I'm just trolling. It's something that will not just challenge your perspective, but also touch your heart and soul. It's a book that defies convention, blending art and literature into a thought-provoking masterpiece. A reflective piece of provocative art that tackles societal constructs from angles you've never considered. Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling delves into the very essence of our existence. It questions the technology that surrounds us, challenges our notions of beauty, stares unflinchingly into the eyes of death, and questions the boundaries of freedom. It scrutinized the educational system that molds our very future. This book is a journey, an exploration of shared human experience, and it's a work of art that refuses to be confined by tradition. It's a canvas painted with words, a melody of thought, and a testament to the power of creativity in a world dominated by algorithms and data. Visit moonboycapitalventures.com and get your hands on Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling today. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Now let's jump back into the show.
So the account model is like a bank account. You have your IBAN, if you're in your IBAN number or account number, and but every time you receive a transaction, the transaction is stored. But what matters is the balance, right? So the balance is changing every time you send money or receive money. This changes the final balance of your account system. So when you receive a transaction on Ethereum, for example, you have like a number, you have 100 ETH, right? And you're receiving an ETH, you are 101. And this is a counter, right? Every transaction increase or decrease this counter.
Mm-hmm.
On a UTXO system, it's like dollar bills. You have in your wallet a set of dollar bills. Let's say that you have 100 again, Mint Layer. So you have 10, for example, nodes of 10 ml, right? I need to spend. So it's not. I still have 100 ml, right? But it's the way I calculate it is differently because I need to count 10 separate bills, right? If I have to spend, I have to pay your coffee, right? So I have to, technically, spend one of these that will be destroyed, and I have the ability to create two more, one for the coffee shop and one for me back as a return. So let's say that I'm spending 5. I create two new bills. One bill I give to the coffee shop, then the other one is back to my wallet. So, and it's my total balance is the sum of all the output. And a transaction is not add 5 to this balance or remove 5 to this balance, but is a set of input and a set of output. So a set of bills that gets into this system and a set of bills that is created new. The one that gets in is spent, and the one that is created is unspent, is still not spent. So it's UTXO means unspent transaction output, right? So that means that they are there available for future spending.
Yeah.
And on Mint Layer, every output is a reference to a specific token, and you can mix them. Like I can have a single transaction where I'm sending Mint Layer, a stable coin, and I don't know whatever, something else, an NFT, right? Mm-hmm. And the output, the only point, the only thing that we ensure is that the output is not more than the input, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm not creating anything from scratch, right? I'm not increasing the supply or something. The system verified that the output is at least the same of the input. Obviously, the difference, if the output is less, the difference can be picked up by the miner. In our case, is the staking pool, as a fee, basically.
Okay, and will there be privacy sort of solutions too as well on Mint Layer Will that be a optionality?
So the privacy is a complicated topic. It's never, privacy is always defining a limit and defining. There's no full privacy or zero privacy. It's always like it's always there are a lot of argument, like your IP address can be exposed, or there's a lot of stuff. Speaking about how the movement of the token, right? In an account-based system, privacy is non-existent, because especially in a normal account-based system, like you expose your address and everyone can see the whole history, right? And even in the future can see your history. In a UTXO model is more complicated. It's not impossible to rebuild the history, because that doesn't mean that you have like the UTXO model allows you to, is a privacy system. It's not made for that. But let's say that you have a receiving address. You create a receiving address that's different every time, right? So you need to receive money from me. You create a specific address that you gave it just to me. And the balance of this address is 0. If I go on Explorer and check your balance, it's 0. I send money there, and there's whatever I put, right? So at this stage, I have no way to know what is your trading history or your full balance. There's absolutely no way. But I could rebuild some of your history. For example, if you spend this output together with something else, like I know at this point that you also you were owner also of the other outputs, right? So because you signed the transaction with the same key, so I can understand that you were also owner of something else, and it's not the same key, but yeah, you got my point, right? So you put out two output together, so it is very likely you, unless you have a friend and I think you could do that as well. Like you can batch transaction together with your friends. Don't know why you would have to do that, but it's like I'm trying to understand what happened with your wallet in a UTXO system is more complicated, right? There are chain analysis tools that do that on Bitcoin. There's some heuristics, some trying to guess what happened, because you have this, they're trying to guess what is the, for example, the return address is not precise. There's no way to be sure that is this way.
Yeah. And you can generate an infinite amount of addresses with the UTXO model. Yeah. It's interesting.
And ideally, every time you receive, you create a new address. That's the best way.
Why did you decide to go proof of stake instead of proof of work?
Actually, I was against proof of stake. Sorry, for one of the main reasons why I was against proof of stake is there is no way to. There were no way. I mean, we solved that. So, and saying in the past, like my thought on the design, to have the time moving in a proof of stake that is not artificial. The way that Mint Layer works is kind of a hybrid between a proof of stake and proof of work. It's a proof of work, but there is still concept of trying and guessing the new block that isn't a proof of work, and this is what get the time back to the proof of stake system. The reason is simple. Maybe there's something that is missing here. In a proof of stake system, the in the proof of work, what makes the time move on is the fact that you have to guess the block, and you keep trying, and there are a million of machine trying a million times a second, new combination of stuff, right? So it's kind of crazy. And as an average, every 10 minutes, someone guesses a block. But when you have millions and millions and millions of new trial, is you just adapt this little thing that is called difficulty, and you keep having this frequency that is as an average 10 minutes. It's fine. And the time is made exactly by that, the fact that you have to guess this block, right? So, and it takes time to try and try and try and try and try and try. Right? On a proof of stake, on the other side, if there's no guessing, right, usually, and there is no, you have this, you have to random, let's say that you have a set of pools and stake, and you have to pick one from this, you have to pick the new the new one that is responsible for creating the block, right, and propagating the block, based on the stake and based on their probability and stuff. But the network needs to choose one, pick one, and it's very, there's no time consuming. It's just a formula, like just it's you now, it's someone else now. So it's missing this part. On Mint Layer, we have we still have the concept of difficulty, and we have the concept of guessing. And the way that we recreated time in the proof of stake is basically you only have one guess per second, because in the struct, in the block, right? The only thing that you can change is technically is the time stamp. So basically, you change the timestamp, and it's, you have one change per second. You cannot move forward in time because you cannot propagate a block that is more than 2 minutes far from the current time. So you cannot really do anything. The only thing, you have to be lucky to be one of those that have a valid block within the 2 minutes that are available.
It makes sense, but what about because I don't know how the future is going to be, but I always look into like quantum computing and see how there could be potential attack vectors because of quantum computing. I don't know if you've looked into that at all, or
actually Ben was working on. Ben is a researcher, is one of our cryptographer. He was working on quantum computer stuff, so he knows the topic very well. We still don't know. Quantum computer is still very early. It won't happen tomorrow. The weak part of the system is the signature. So the way we compose signature, right? If tomorrow we have, this is what we know now, right? So we know that this is a weak part, assuming that tomorrow we have a quantum computer running, and it's actual quantum computer, and it's powerful enough, they can break a CDSA, so which the elliptic curve system that we use for the signature. This is an issue. That's the issue basically. But it's the same for everything. I mean, the whole banking system will be from one day to the other. open to the public, basically. So, so it's not a problem just for Mint Layer or Bitcoin. It's problem
Yeah,
is
yeah,
or even Ethereum is a problem for everyone. There are solutions, but again, there are trade-off, right?
yeah,
For example, there are solutions to create a signature that are not that won't break with a quantum computer, but the time or the size of the transaction is significantly larger. Like if you today can verify a transaction in a millisecond, you will need like 3 seconds. I don't know. We need to do some math, but trying to
yeah.
the size is that, right? So
Yes.
hundreds of times larger or time consuming.
Yeah.
So you will end up today will not be feasible on a blockchain, or it will, but you will have a lot less transaction in a block.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or again, you can say, okay, my blockchain can can we don't care, right? But then you have to have a supercomputer to run a node, while Mint Layer runs in a Raspberry Pi, because
Yeah.
we want it to be easy to run.
Yeah. What can we expect on the 29th of January with the mainnet launch? What can we expect from a developer side and also from an investor side, in regards to the token migration and all these different types of things?
Okay. Token migration at the moment, the token is on ERC-20. We have created a one-way only bridge. So
Yeah.
you have to burn your token on one side. So if you have tokens on, and anyway, the exchange will assist on that. The timing for integration of the node will be different from one exchange to the other, but they will eventually all support Mint Layer. Um, uh, the you have to burn your token on the Ethereum side, and you can. We are about to release the Mojito wallet with the Mint Layer integration, so you can go to. At the moment, it's the only wallet that support Mint Layer. So not the mobile one, but the browser extension one. You can install the browser extension Mojito, and you will be able to generate a Mint Layer address for the mainnet, even before the mainnet.
Yeah.
And you can use that to migrate your token directly. So you burn your ERC-20 token specifying this address, and at the genesis or shortly after, we will send the token to this address, or yeah, that or you can use the exchange basically to swap the token. You deposit on one side and withdraw on the other side.
Okay. And what about hardware support? Is there any hardware support for
We're still working on that. It will not be ready, unfortunately, for the mainnet. That was something that it's actually missing, and we know it's missing. My suggestion is, obviously, if you are operating a node, and you have a lot of more tokens there, I'm suggesting to generate. We have the concept of decommission of the pool, so you can generate an address offline. So you take a computer offline, you put the address generator there, you save the seed, right? Important to save the seed correctly, but if you are used to what you're doing. I'm expecting to
to the newbies? Yeah.
generate the address, and then you can use that use that to as a decommission for the decommissioning of the pool. So you can have your machine running with your token there,
Yeah.
on the pool, but the only way to decommission the pool is using the off-chain computer. So even if people comes and attack your node, you're still safe. The only thing that they can do is to play around with the pool, and there's not much they can do basically.
Yeah.
It's
And
the key to control the money is.
so when you try to become a node operator, so from my understanding, you need 40,000 Mint Layer tokens, and you have
Correct.
to delegate that. So there's no way you could acquire that through sort of like a delegation proof of stake like mechanism, like to where other people delegate for to get to the 40,000.
No, I mean, if 40,000 allows you to create a pool, and there are two parts of a pool. One is the pledge, and one is the delegated part.
Yeah.
The pledge is is the one that is required to create a pool, and the minimum is 40,000. But if you have even 1 ML, you can delegate that. You can delegate your token to someone else's pool, basically.
Is there slashing?
And there's no way that they can steal your ML, or it's not like you still have control of your tokens at any time. So you can just withdraw from the pool anytime, and
it's liquid.
Sorry?
It's liquid staking?
It's not liquid staking. You have to remove the token from your delegation, and it takes about 10 days, if I'm not wrong, to get the money back. But because we need to transition to another period, so it's for security reason, we have to wait for about 10 days. The liquid staking is something that we are looking, and maybe we can implement that in the future. So not sure if we need to do it on the staking layer, or we can just have a different layer, like an application layer. But yeah, it's something that we are looking at.
Will there be slashing?
At the moment, there's no slashing, but again, it's something that we are looking at for the future.
Okay.
Personally, I'm against slashing, but on the team, there's this, back and forth trying. But that's so. At the moment, it's fine. We'll see how it goes, and probably it's not needed. But if it's needed, we see that it's needed, then we will probably have to implement that as well.
Oh, and with the development side, so will it be right away that you'll be able to start building on Mint Layer once mainnet launches? Or
yeah,
okay. And will there be development tools?
Obviously, for example, one of the things that so in terms of tool, there's a lot of work to do. Again, it's not Ethereum, so it's not an AVM, so you don't expect to get at this stage
Streamline
your
tooling.
Solidity program, build it and deploy on Mint Layer. Doesn't work like that. Most of the stuff that can be done using a simple multisig, and for example, right? But the logic is usually different than other blockchain. So yeah, it's there's like 99% of the stuff can be done at launch, but we are working, but it's done differently, and yeah. So
and you're doing it you're using Rust, right, as the main coding language.
There's no way we have exposed the RPC, and the way you program on Mint Layer is that you have to import the WASM block if you want to sign transaction and stuff, because there's a WASM system that allows you to sign transaction and WASM library, and you can import that into any language that support WASM and build the stuff. But it's different because again, it's not Turing complete Mint Layer. So it's you have to work with signature basically to program the way the system works.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you guys have the no gas token that's needed. Like you don't need to use a native Mint Layer gas. You can use Bitcoin, for instance, as the settlement gas.
Well, no, because that's on another. That's Bitcoin is on another chain. You will have to. I mean, assuming someone or us or someone else create a wrapped version of Bitcoin on Mint Layer, then you could use that. Yeah. And the only limit for that is not available at the moment. Again, what we are thinking is, because one of the main issue is the price of these tokens, right? So one of the thing that we are thinking is a way to stream prices to the node that is generating the blocks, right? So, but we are thinking to leave it open. So, like in RPC, there's a version. If you check the code, there's a wallet that is just an RPC. So it's a daemon opening an RPC. It's a port that a developer can use to talk to the node, right? And stream there and keep updating the node, assuming that this is the one that is running the pool, right? Keep updating the node with the price of all the tokens.
And will there be fee determinism too as well? Like if you want your transaction to go through faster?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Because the first, there's no way. It's not like with the gas of Ethereum that you put an estimate, but you don't know the end result of the transaction until you actually execute the transaction, because you need to loops and stuff. So it's just in a Turing complete system, you have to you have to actually execute the code to know how complicated it was. So the actual fee cannot be determined before sending the transaction. On Mint Layer, you can determine exactly the fee before sending the transaction.
Wow. Okay, that's really, really cool. Yeah, that's a really unique feature. So it doesn't matter how much
like
demand.
Bitcoin. So,
yeah. No, that's really nice. And also, will there be stable coin? Because I saw that you guys were doing something with like a stable coin crypto project. I didn't really look too much into it.
Stablecomp. Yeah, Stablecomp is at the moment is working again on Ethereum. Obviously, when there will be stable coins on Mint Layer, and there will be spoiler. This will be they will add the Mint Layer also on their system.
How will that work in regards to liquidity? Because you guys don't have the DEX out, so how are you guys going to get liquidity into the ecosystem to be able to utilize it more like efficiently?
No, obviously that's something that we'll develop with DEX.
Okay.
That's without the DEX, it's very hard to do that. You will have to trade stuff manually, basically, at this stage. It's complicated. But I don't expect the DEX to take a long time. I mean, it's well, depending on depending on we took 2 years to build that, so it's compared to that, the DEX is easy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the DEX, man, and definitely to provide some liquidity and be an LP and get some early yield farming rewards. Wink, wink. Yeah, it'd be interesting. And so another question that I had too as well, this is a little bit off topic, but just a little bit about like you used to work at Tether, right?
Yeah.
And so how was that experience for you? Like, can you walk me through like how it was like working there?
Um, stressful, but you know, it was good. I mean, the team is amazing, and the I went through all the food and stuff, right? So I think they are there's a good team behind, and they know what they're doing, and they will stay in the market for a long time. I mean, it's they demonstrated that they, they know what they're doing.
Wow. No, that's really, really good to hear, man. And you think Tether will one day be coming on Mint Layer? Wink, wink.
Hopefully. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool to see, man. And also, what about future
They're
exchange
building
listings?
RGB.
Oh, they're building.
They're helping the. There, yeah. There's the RGB protocol that is basically one that is again on top of Bitcoin. So they are helping this protocol. We're kind of competitive, but yeah, no, it's not the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. No, that'd be cool, man, to see. Hopefully we'll see what's up with that in the development. But what about future major exchange listings? Would that be a potential possibility? Are you guys in the works? You talking?
We're talking to everyone. Obviously, we cannot disclose anything because
Yeah,
you know how it works, right? So if you announce something, even before they do, it's you're off, and no, there's no way to. So
yeah,
yeah, we cannot announce anything. But yeah, we are talking to a lot of exchange. Obviously, I think the end goal, we are an infrastructure system, right? So
mhm,
and we want to have a lot of project building and having our technology run by the exchange is one of our primary um, goal. Like we need to be supported by everyone
yeah.
at the end, because it's also a good. If we are not, is a limit for the project building a Mint Layer, right? So
Yeah. You guys thought about like going interoperable, like, eventually at some point, like in the future, to like, be able to network with other chains, be able to pull liquidity from other chains too as well. They could bridge assets over easily and more seamlessly over to their
we had
ecosystem.
discussion about that. Maybe someone else will work on that. Some other teams will work on this stuff.
Yeah.
Again, it's open source, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
there. And I hope that there will be a lot of people involved. It's just the beginning, and I hope that
Yeah.
will not just be us. Even the direction of the project doesn't have to be centralized, right? So
Yeah. No, trust me. So the government's aspect, that's what I wanted to ask you too. So there will be some form of governance like moving forward at some point, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There are at the end of the day, the governance is made by the pool operators. So
Yeah.
they're the ones that will, and also the market. The market is the
Yeah.
one that makes decision. If tomorrow we decide that, for example, I will own everything, right? No one will even think about upgrading the node with my badge, right? So
Yeah.
it's it's yeah, uh, it's open, and more participation by the pool operators, for example, even in the development. That's something that hopefully will happen.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to that too as well. And I'm also looking forward to build on Mint Layer 2 as well myself, as we discussed. So
Yeah.
but my final question for you before we go is what are your thoughts on the Bitcoin spot ETF? Is it net negative and net positive? What are your thoughts?
Um, Positive in the long run, negative in the. Speaking about price, I
Yeah,
mean, I don't think it's a good idea to. Um, I'm for self custody of Bitcoin, right? So it's even easy. I don't know why you have to trust that. But there are legal constraints, and an ETF can help there. So why not? If you cannot, if you are forbidden to sell custody, whatever, just why not? And also can go into a lot of the ETF can be go into a lot of other funds and stuff. So it's a way to mix risk, reduce risk, and so yeah, I think it's a positive in the long run. And talking about price, I expect the price to. I'm not sure the price will skyrocket because it's already priced in. So it's it works.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same. I'm thinking it could be. I'm more leaning towards the fence that it could be a selling news event, but I think that's just more so in the short term. But I think longer term, out to a 1 to 2 year time span, I think the price would be significantly much higher than they are right now.
Yeah, I think so. And we have the halving coming, so everything is set in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Enrico, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, no, but again, if you want to know more, reach out to, we have the Telegram community. I don't know if you can add that in the description.
I'm gonna put it in the
Telegram community, we have Twitter, and we also have, if you want to become a node operator, we have, like, if you want to run your staking pool, we have a channel specific for that, and there's a lot of activity there. And if you want to build a Mint Layer, again, reach out and we can help.
Thank you so much, Enrico. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Concludes this episode of the Mooncast, man. And peace.